Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Get out your crimson and gold. The University of Denver men's hockey team will try to defend its national championship starting Friday. DU has reached the NCAA tournament for 16 straight years. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, the bill that's making Colorado's hot spring owners sweat.
The last thing we need is to disrupt an entire hydrology that's been operating for eons.
Also, what's working to help teens under stress?
It made me more connected to other kids.
And cooking is a big part of the tradition.
But my family makes it with all of this. When I tell his family that's not right, they're like, no, yours is not right.
In the final days of Ramadan, we break the fast in Colorado Springs. It's Wednesday, March 26th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Colorado's hot springs operators are getting nervous. They're concerned about a proposal at the state capitol. CPR's Sam Brash is here to help us sort out what's going on. Sam, why are they nervous?
Well, they're nervous because the governor and state lawmakers see a lot of potential in geothermal energy. That's the same energy resource that provides the hot water Coloradans love to soak in at these resorts. Other states and countries have shown you can actually use that same resource to warm buildings or even generate electricity, and that might be a renewable energy resource that could help us wean ourselves from fossil fuels.
Do lawmakers want to generate power in areas that are right near hot springs? Has that been proposed or is that being looked at?
Yeah, in some cases, absolutely. That's why it's so concerning to these resorts. There's surprisingly little known about how these hot springs actually get their water and how it gets channeled to the surface in these particular spots. So operators worry that drawing energy deep from the earth could diminish or cool their hot spring resources. Thomas Warren is the manager of Mount Princeton Hot Spring Resort. Here's what he told me about this particular concern.
I worry sometimes that decisions are made hastily to try to meet climate goals. The last thing we need is to disrupt an entire hydrology that's been operating for eons.
Disruption. So, Sam, it is not known for sure if geothermal energy operations would hurt nearby hot springs.
It's not known, but that uncertainty is really worrisome to Warren in particular. That's because there's actually a proposal to build a power plant just about 2 miles from his hot spring resort. Warren actually hired an engineer to tackle this question of whether the plan could damage the hot spring, and their models suggest that it might.
And that is what has made us very, very cautious on how this should proceed, how it would affect us, and what actions we would take.
Now, the company behind this power plant project says that its models showed that this system is big enough to support the hot springs and power thousands of homes. But it is clear there is some risk here. One example is New Zealand. They rushed to develop geothermal power in the 60s and 70s, and it ended up damaging hot springs and geysers that indigenous communities used for centuries.
For someone who's not super familiar with Colorado's hot springs, where are they?
So they're really all over the mountains. The same tectonic forces that built the Rockies opened up these channels to get hot water from deep inside the earth to the surface. There's actually now 400 individual hot springs in Colorado. That's according to the Colorado Geological Survey.
400? I had no idea.
Lots of individual springs, right?
Okay.
Not resorts.
Okay.
And some are developed resorts. Some require a hike into public lands like Conundrum Hot Springs. They're really special. And if you haven't checked them out, go see some Colorado hot springs. You're really missing out.
Oh, definitely. So getting back to what's happening at the state capitol, what exactly are lawmakers considering right now, and why has this created tension between the hot spring operators and the geothermal energy proponents?
So this specific bill is meant to make it easier to develop geothermal energy. It does that by streamlining regulations. And the hot spring operators, they worry that those changes don't fully protect their businesses. So they've now gotten some really important amendments into the bill. Energy developers will have to notify nearby hot springs within a quarter mile of their plans. And regulators will have to consider whether any proposal would harm historic hot springs across the state. And that's helped the businesses cool off just a little bit.
I'm only surprised that we didn't get that pun in earlier.
Had to do one of them.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
A success story now in fighting one of the biggest problems that teenagers face. A Colorado-based effort to prevent teen suicide just got a promising scientific review. Before we go on, I want to let you know that if you or someone in your life is considering self-harm, please contact Colorado Crisis Services. You can text TALK to 38255. It's free and confidential. The prevention effort we'll talk more about now relies on students themselves to help their peers.
It's really some of the best results that we've seen in the field of suicide prevention in the last 50 years.
Scott Lomurri directs the effort called Sources of Strength. CPR's Jenny Brundin joins us now. Jenny, suicide is the leading cause of death for people between the ages of 10 and 24. What's so special or unusual about the way Sources of Strength tries to curb that?
Yeah, typical prevention focuses on medicating people who are feeling suicidal. By contrast, this focuses on preventing students from getting to that crisis point. At a Sources of Strength meeting I went to at a school, student leaders get other students, their peers, to identify strengths and coping skills. So first, kids talked about what brings them joy, like coffee, dogs, mountains, spirituality. Some kids had gratitude journals. Then they talked about stressors in their lives. A huge one, friend approval, social stress. Another huge one, getting good grades to make parents happy. Parents are a huge source of stress to teenagers. Things at times got pretty emotional. Kids had lost family members, but the conversations always shifted back to the strengths that pulled these kids forward. I'll always remember one boy, he had no family support. He said he was thankful for Miles Davis, who he described as ethereal. They discuss what makes a good friend, what makes a good mentor, and they identify trusted adults in their lives.
Sounds like the idea here is really helping teens deal with those big and difficult emotions that they often feel.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by what Lomurri, the director, said about how to help people flourish rather than just prevent disasters.
We spend, as a field, a lot of time talking about the leading causes of death, but not nearly enough time cultivating the leading causes of life.
Leading causes of life. Good perspective for all of us. So, Jenny, what is the new research that has come out about this program?
This is a CDC-funded study. Researchers at Colorado's Public Health Department and in academia around the country, they specifically studied schools in Colorado. They compared schools that have a Sources of Strength program to a control group that doesn't, and they found that the schools that had Sources of Strength reduced suicide attempts by 29%.
Nearly 30%. That's a lot.
The study is significant in that they think it may have implications for the larger population. Lomurri calls these findings a rare bright spot in what he's felt like has been a decade of really difficult trends in teen mental health. We have, as you know, more social media and phone use, more social isolation. There's the existential dread around climate change that many teens talk about, school shootings. Many of these things contribute to mental health problems in young people.
So much they're dealing with. So does Sources of Strength help kids who aren't necessarily dealing with suicidal thoughts, but are really still struggling?
It really does. It provides a sense of connection for many kids. I remember talking to a high schooler named Francisco Carrillo, who was in a program in 2019 in the Metro Denver community of Edgewater. He told me about all the pressures he felt from not feeling good enough, about himself comparing himself with his classmates. He said Sources of Strength really helped turn him around.
It changed me a lot, actually. Before, I was like a shy, stressed kid that almost fell into a portal, basically, of bad decisions. It made me more connected to other kids.
More connected. The power of connection there. Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome.
This is the final week of Ramadan, and for those who observe the Muslim holy month, evening meals are often a festive time. CPR's Haley Sanchez shares with us some moments from iftar with Fida and Camille El Wazir in Colorado Springs.
Their kitchen is alive with the clatter of pots, the smell of spices, and the anticipation of breaking the day's fast. Before the guests arrive, Vida and Camille work together, layering rice, chicken, and fried veggies into a pot. Once it's done, it'll get flipped over before serving and eating.
My family makes it with all of this. When I tell his family that's not right, they're like, no, yours is not right. We have this discussion. Whose makluba is right?
While the food is a cherished tradition, Vida and Camille both point out that Ramadan is about more than just the meal.
Spiritual renewal.
Yeah.
Your spirituality should change exponentially in the positive direction, and you should really take the time to connect with God during this time.
As sunset gets closer, Vida and Camille enlist their sons
If you guys want to bring the drinks.
to make sure everything is in order.
Do you guys want to start frying?
Then the guests arrive.
Oh.
Everyone says hi and they wish each other a blessed Ramadan.
Ramadan Mubarak. Come on in. Oh, thank you.
The significance of community becomes clear as more family friends arrive.
They watched our boys grow up,
Yeah,
just like we got to watch theirs.
His son is tutoring my son.
They all catch up as it gets darker outside. And when the sun finally sets, Adhan. A call to pray the evening prayer and break the fast.
Go ahead. You can try the dates.
Breaking fast with a date and water, a tradition that dates back to the Prophet Muhammad. Everyone files into the living room, and Camille leads the group's prayers.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم.
When they finish, Camille has the ultimate test of strength ahead of him.
I have to flip it,
I have to flip it.
and it's a big one.
Might take
big
two.
one.
The group strategizes on how to flip the makluba upside down and get it from inside the large pot and get it onto a silver tray so big it sounds like a gong.
See, if it's spilled, we have Papa John's just down the street. Or Chipotle.
It takes 3 people.
Maybe this has a grip.
Camille counts
Which way are we
down.
going? Zach's way. Bismillah. 1, 2, 3. Oh!
Everyone digs in. Ramadan is a time of fasting, but also of gathering, sharing, and renewal. And tonight, in this home, the spirit of Ramadan is alive.
We'll make sure we share it, inshallah.
You can find more on this and all the stories in today's show in the links in our show notes. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app so you can easily find the latest episode to keep up with what's happening in our state. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.